thank you for joining us.
Thank you
very much. So a lot of people, whether they're relocating or having a major life shift, uncertainties going into a phase of transition can certainly be scary. And, you know, it seems like you've lived in multiple locations and handled the whole situation with stride. So how did you grow to approach building a network from the ground up?
It wasn't easy. I relocated back to Philadelphia after being in Seattle for 5 years in a completely different role. I went from underwriting and escrow to a business development and really became client-facing at a time it wasn't super confident. So the first thing I did, ironically, was reach out to the past president of escrow. Jeannie Armstrong was president. I lived in Philadelphia for a brief time. He was a crew member in the, I'd say, mid-2000s. I started there. I called her. She graciously had both of me the same week. And basically said, what can I do to help you? So that was my first step, was just reconnecting with somebody through me there. And once I reconnected with her, I joined Caruso. I also joined a few other organizations, UOI, the Absolute Should, but I really immersed myself into Caruso and found that working on the membership committee really helped organically meet people. I mean, you're welcoming into the organization, you're facing them all the time. So, that first step of really getting out there and just putting yourself into these organizations and being involved in them. The next thing I did is I always say I went on tour. I took a year and just went everything and anything I could possibly fit in my schedule. Having 2 young children at the time was challenging, but, coffees and breakfast meetings and, lunch events, happy hours. Even if it didn't seem like it was in my wheelhouse, you don't know who you're going to meet. So we want hands you shake, that broader, that net goes. So that was the other thing. So I went on tour, and I also need to figure out what organizations would work for me. What ones would I go back to? What ones are just, if I had time, I would go to it. But there's some I became very passionate about, and it became very important for me building a network. Another thing was LinkedIn. I made sure I updated all my information current. And again, I wasn't client-facing before this. So at this point, I wanted to make sure my undergraduate, school is on there, my past history of where I worked is on there, a current position, everything was updated because those connections that can be obtained. I went to Westchester University, and when I got back here, when I updated that, people from Westchester reached out to me, my high school. So, make sure your LinkedIn is current and make sure you're posting. My cadence right now is probably 2 days a week. One day I'll do an industry-specific post about title insurance, and then the other one is typically an event I go to or, some educational piece about the commercial real estate industry. I will say, you post a picture of yourself, you will be shocked how many people will click on that. People are curious. They want to see you. They want to know what you're doing. You want to give them a little bit, but it also gets you that visibility you need. You want your face to be recognized with the organization. So that also really helped in the beginning of just get out there and meet as many people as I can. The great thing of LinkedIn too is if you don't have some of these contact information, you can find them on LinkedIn and send them a message like, hey, I'm new to the area. Or, hey, I just switched organizations. It'd be great to grab a cup of coffee. Here's my email address. I'd love to, connect with you. You can put it in their hands, and troll other people's LinkedIn. Get those, get those introductions. Say, hey, I see you're connected with, Joe Smith. I've been dying to meet you. Can you get me an introduction? Can you make a real sprout? People are really willing to help you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. You answered all my questions.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your time. And, I know with your presence and participation in Crew that if anybody going through a transition may need some kind of advice or, recommendations along the way, that you'd be a fabulous resource for them to turn to in that situation. So thank you again for your time. And it was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.